When I've passed through different troubled parts of the world and sought local advice, I've seen the same pattern of coping with disaster. What I see consistently is the emergence of individuals who embody that culture's sense of competence into positions of authority. They are its wellspring of calmness. They do not disappear with defeat or after setbacks. They do not require reassurance in their commitments to such abstractions as justice and reverence. In traditional villages, they're called the elders. The people who carry the knowledge of what works, who have the ability to organize chaos into meaning, and who can point recovery in a good direction. Some anthropologists believe that the presence of elders is as important as any technological advancement or material advantage in ensuring that human life continues.
She could hear Christopher and Anne talking. She could not hear what they said. She was sitting in the living room, but the sound of their voices came to her steadily. Finally she rose and slowly, very quietly, went and stood by the stairs. "Always been a narcissist, Chris. You know that." And then Chris answered, "But Jesus Christ," and something more, and Olive turned and went just as slowly and quietly back to her chair in the living room. In her room later that night, she kept thinking about the word narcissist, which she knew the meaning of, naturally. But did she really know the meaning? She looked at her computer, finding the word narcissism in the dictionary. Self-admiration, it said. Then, personality disorder. She closed the computer. Olive didn't understand this. She really didn't. Self-admiration? Olive felt no admiration of herself. Personality disorder. Given the extensive and widespread array of human emotions, why was anything considered a personality disorder? And who had come up with such a term? She got into bed, though she did not expect to sleep, and she did not sleep. She held her phone to her ear, lying with it that way. The entire night went by, and she stared at the dark, shifting only a few times. She watched the red digital clock, and she clung to her phone, but she heard every word that came from it, and understood that she had not even dozed. When it was light, she got up and dressed and went downstairs. She put the milk and 3 bowls of Cheerios on the table. Glancing in the small mirror by the doorway, she saw that she had the red-eyed look of a prisoner.
Crones don't whine. It is time to reclaim and redefine crone from the word pile of disparaging names to call older women, and to make becoming a crone a crowning inner achievement of the 3rd phase of life. To be a crone is about inner development and not about outer appearance. A crone is a woman who has wisdom, compassion, humor, courage, and vitality. She has a sense of truly being herself, can express what she knows and feels, and take action when need be. She does not avert her eyes or numb her mind from reality. She can see the flaws and imperfections in herself and in others, but the light in which she sees is not harsh and judgmental. She has learned to trust herself to know what she knows. Crones can make a difference. And crones don't whine.
Throughout the rest of the day, Meredith Powell felt a dull fire burning within her. It was accompanied by pounding in her head, one that wasn't connected to pain, but rather to the words, "She's dead." The simple fact of Julia's death was bad. It put Meredith into a state of disbelief and sorrow, and the sorrow was more profound than she would ever have expected to feel for someone who was not a member of her immediate family. Beyond the fact of her death, though, was the additional fact that Julia had been taken away before Meredith had been able to put things right between them. And this gnawed at her conscience and at her heart. She could no longer remember what it even was that had actually damaged their long friendship. Had it been a slow chipping away of their affection for each other, or had it suffered one deadly blow? She couldn't recall, which told her how unimportant it must have been.
They were into the lambing, up late, talking and smoking around their lantern. They squatted in the barn door, left open, so the quiet of the winter night diminished what they said. The chill had begun to ink into their clothes. Now and then they raised their hands to breathe on them. The youngest one yawned and shivered.
Damn. I'd like to be asleep. I'd like to be curled up in a warm nest like an old groundhog and sleep till spring.
When I was your age, Billy, it wasn't sleep I thought about. Last few years here, I've took to sleeping.
And Ray said,
To sleep till spring, you'd have to have a trust in things, the way animals do. Been a long time, I reckon, since people felt safe enough to sleep more than a night. You might wake up someplace you didn't sleep at.
They hushed a while, as if to let the dark brood on what they had said. Behind them, a sheep stirred in the bedding and coughed. It was getting close to midnight. Later, they would move back along the row of pen to use, making sure the newborn lambs were well dried and had sucked. And then they would go home, cold, to bed.
This is Perry Perry reporting for Channel 3.5. Sad news today. So please join me in remembering yet another great icon of the entertainment community. The Pillsbury Doughboy died yesterday of a yeast infection and traumatic complications from repeatedly being poked in his belly during his lifetime. The veteran Pillsbury spokesman was 71. Doughboy survived by his wife, Play-Doh, 3 children, John Doe, Jane Doe, and Dildo. Plus they also had one in the oven, Dosey Doe. He is also survived by his elderly father, Pop-Tart. Services were held yesterday at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Doughboy was buried in a lightly greased coffin. Dozens of celebrities turned out to pay their respects, including the Jolly Green Giant, Hungry Jack, the California Raisins, the Hostess Twinkies, and Captain Crunch. The gravesite was piled high with flowers, whole wheat, and self-rising. Longtime friend Betty Crocker delivered a eulogy describing Doughboy as a man who never knew how much he was needed.
Biscuits and croissants and soft flaky dough. We are here because we loved you so and all you brought.
Doughboy rose quickly in show business, but his later life was filled with turnovers. He was not considered a very smart cookie, wasting much of his dough on half-baked schemes. Despite being a little flaky at times, but was thought of as a role model for millions. Toward the end, it was thought he would rise again, but alas, he remained unleavened. May he rest in yeast.
Don't you mean in peace?
I mean in peace. This is Perry Perry reporting for Channel 3.5.
You find yourself at a banquet table. You feel disaffected because the people surrounding you are speaking a language you do not understand. Suddenly, you feel pressure on your foot beneath the table. Someone's foot is on your own. You glance up. Your eyes meet those of the attractive person sitting opposite you. Intuitively, you see the word that you must now say to captivate this person. You say it. Phlegm. The person stands, and suddenly the other people are gone, as is the table, as are your clothes. You fling yourselves at each other in passion. It is wondrous. The two of you are far up in the air, the sensuality of the experience heightened by the clouds brushing past you. You suddenly begin to sob in shame because you have been observed by your 4 deceased grandparents who disapprove. You realize that the severe-looking man in the black frock coat comforting your maternal grandmother is William Seward, and with great clarity and an inexplicable sense of nostalgia, you recite,
William Henry Seward, U.S. Secretary of State in the Andrew Johnson administration.
You know, one of those dreams. There has never been a shortage of theories as to the utility of dreams being dreamlike. Maybe dreaming is the channel by which the gods speak to mortals. Maybe it's a way to get your brain to work in an unconventional, orthogonal manner to solve that pesky math problem you went to sleep thinking about. Or maybe this is how you keep the underutilized neural pathways active. Or maybe it's so you can have a sex dream about some unlikely person at work and then act all weird and knowing around them the next day at the water cooler. Or maybe the dreaming evolved so that surrealists and Dadaists could make a living. So bring on those dreams, now free to be filled with disinhibited actions and labile emotions. You breathe underwater, fly in the air, communicate telepathically. You announce your love to strangers, invent languages, rule kingdoms. You even star in a Busby Berkeley musical.
From a distance, I see you. You know I made this just for you. I will wave hello to you from 6 feet apart. I will go back indoors after I deliver this to you. I just wanted you to have something that's mine. Some piece of me with you, wherever you are, so you can see what I've been doing. With all of this time, so much time, but also so little too, you must be extra safe. Be so very careful, promise me. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're making the most of it. I love you. I love from here. Don't forget. Don't forget me. Remember, it's all we can do. Remember touch? I remember hugging you so tight. I remember your smile. I do so bright. Underneath the mask, from a distance, I still see you.
Would she plant another garden then? He would eat only garlic, onion, and potatoes from their first garden. Would she plant bougainvillea to climb the fence, papery petals falling like haiku, and a tulip tree to bloom stoically in the fist of winter when each day becomes minutely lighter? Would she paint the room's soft pastels with shocking sherbet trim? Would she put lace curtains over the mundane blinds and hang her bodacious art without reservation? Would she wax the kitchen floor so slick the grandchildren could see their faces in it? Would she get 2 rambunctious kittens for entertainment, a dog for endless love, and a reason to go out? Would she rise early, put on comfortable shoes, pack lunch, take a bus, and stay out all day? Would she put on the porch lamp and light every room to welcome her home? Would she wear magenta, purple chartreuse and paint her nails black? Would the monsoon of sandpaper tears tear troughs of grief down her cheeks? Would the days have too many seconds, too much nothing between awake and sleep? Would naps be narcotic? Would culture gluttony be insulation from the isolation of the deafening serenity of the house? Would she regret trying to hang on to the threads of her life now, not knowing when?